Hey there, everybody. It's 1:58 in the morning in Eastern Standard Time on January 22nd, and I'm on just to answer a couple of questions and to connect with everyone. For those of you who are just joining me, I am with the Order of St. Joseph, which is a holy order of Church Universal and Triumphant. We follow the mystical paths of the 8 major world religions. Christianity is included among those religions. So is Buddhism, Hinduism, Confucianism, Taoism, the other religions. Additionally, Judaism. Let's see if I can get all of them in. Islam. I'm missing a couple, but I'll let you know what they are as we go along. Zoroastrianism is one. I'm just embarking on learning more about Zoroastrianism now, and I will be leading a prayer session in the very near future, a recitation of the Rosary, and it is a recitation that is going to be dedicated towards the closure of several quote-unquote mental hospitals in the state of Maine and nationwide and worldwide, truly. And with any luck, some of my legal filings against Obamacare and against forced participation in healthcare will be accelerated and brought to the proper venues through our imploring of Mother Mary through the Rosary. And I'm taking a couple of questions. I did post, for those of you who have been following the information about the Nephilim and the fallen angels, I did make a recording. If you go to the playlist, Ben Turner 214 on YouTube, you will find that particular recording. It has the name Sanat Kumara, who is an Ascended Master, in the title. But it's on the fallen angels and the Enochian teachings. And I just wanted to clarify in brief that, when you read the Old Testament, it can be interpreted in multiple different ways, obviously. And some people have been suggesting, well, maybe the fallen angels are not evil entities. There are certain references to non-terrestrial or extraterrestrial entities in the Bible that, angelic forces, that can be taken in a couple of different ways. But it's important to understand, in fallen angel theology, if you're following the logic and following the intent of the Ascended Masters as they speak through various amanuenses, including Elizabeth Clare Prophet, that they're talking about, fallen angels that are in embodiment now in evil parts of the Illuminati, or who have infiltrated governmental infrastructures and so forth, and other components of society, and are wreaking havoc. So when Elizabeth Clare Prophet refers to the fallen angels, she's not saying that these are extraterrestrials that are coming to Earth. She is saying that these are fallen angels as they are conceived by the Ascended Masters. There is, in her conclusion and her teaching, is that the fallen angels are mentioned in the Bible, and the Bible does refer to the fallen ones. But don't mistake fallen angels, or don't, in the teaching, when you hear about fallen angels, don't assume that somehow fallen angels are to be made equivalent to extraterrestrials, because you'll miss a big component of the teaching, and that is that satanic forces are among us. Irrespective of whether or not you believe that these forces are alien, there are satanic forces among us attempting to interfere in the work of the light bearers. There is a tradition in certain parts of Theosophy that suggests that the Nephilim utilize spacecraft and so forth, and that certain traditions or certain writings that are uncovered will state that, well, the Nephilim and the fallen angels are really these evil alien greys. But that's really an incomplete message, and I want to make that clear. In addition to that, the Elohim, if you read Genesis and you read about, even if you read an interpretation of the meaning of the Hebrew word Yahweh, Yahweh created the planet, and Yahweh, if you look at what it means in Hebrew, it's plural A, according to how they're breaking down the lettering and interpreting the various letters in the word Yahweh, and also embodies feminine and masculine principles. So it's interesting to take a look at that in the context of the notion that maybe we have been visited by alien life, extraterrestrial life additionally. And if you go on the internet, you will find various sources that will say that extraterrestrials or something else. Or if you read some of the Area 51 quote-unquote conspiracy, some people who claim to have a connection to that part of government have stated, well, extraterrestrials are coming from, they're humans embodied from another round that are basically coming back through space-time. Aliens is the term used for entities or forces coming from exterior space. It gets quite complicated, and of course you have to consider what is exactly meant by space-time, and gets into some quantum mechanics to a certain extent, I imagine. But I wanted to make everybody aware that if you take a look, for people who are interested in extraterrestrial creationism and that sort of thing, I have posted about it, and I think looking to amend, or not amend, but update some of the existing light bearer material emerging from the teaching, the Dharma, through the Great White Brotherhood. I'm not of the opinion that we need to think of alien greys as embodying evil, and one person, and I can provide links if people want to message me, has indicated his belief that, well, it might be the case that the Nephilim, or the actual fallen angels, the actual forces of evil, are disguising themselves as alien greys to create a deception. So that appears to be valid in my interpretation and handling of the teaching. But I wanted to make sure that everybody has as much information as they require or seek. And there are some great, if you look at that video to which I refer, it's in the playlist, there are some specific references to the book of Hebrews with respect to fallen angels, Corinthians, I think, I'm not sure if Job is listed, but there is a reference, likely references that I was able to locate from Enoch. There's a website, and I'm not speaking about the quality, I can't really attest to the quality of all their information, but it's called ecclesia.org, and that's where I was able to call at least 3 Old Testament references to fallen angels. When you read it, if you read it out of context and say you'd never heard, and this is a little bit of, this is additional information to go along with what I've already recorded. If you read it and state that, rather, if you start from the vantage point of never having heard of Enoch or never having referred to the fallen angels, and you look at the Old Testament, there are multiple references, and it gets a little bit confusing chronologically, because the Bible will say, well, in those days there were giants, a race of giants on the planet, and then fallen angels will be mentioned sort of in a separate location or in proximity to that particular passage. And periodically it seems that sometimes the timeline might overlap, or depending upon how you interpret the chronology, the giants could be somehow related to a different set of fallen angels. So you have to be careful, and be as careful as to the whatever extent you need the information, and whatever extent you need to present that information to others, just for your own benefit. the Bible, the Old Testament can be taken in a lot of different ways, and there are a number of different people attempting to interpret what all of that really means. But my point is, whether or not you believe in extraterrestrial life, whether or not you want to believe that there are good greys or good alien forces, as, say, the Raelians claim to, understand that Jesus taught in Matthew, and it says elsewhere in the Bible, that essentially there is a satanic force or a satanic influence among us. And that's not too far out of the realm of most people's ability to comprehend. I don't believe that it's really a radical statement, and I think that it makes sense when you think about it theologically. But if you assume that Elizabeth Clare Prophet, in teaching against the fallen angels, is really teaching against aliens, then that's not an accurate way of absorbing that particular component of the teaching. Part of the point theologically when she says this is that, and in making my own inquiries, through the masters and through continuously studying the Bible and what the various swamis and yogis and so forth teach, we talk about karma and reincarnation, and this is an emerging teaching that I will be delivering as I derive more information from the extant research, my own and also the research of other people pursuing this. We're responsible for balancing our karma, and we're responsible for overcoming our past incarnations to an extent. My additional, and what I'm adding to this is, the fallen angels are those negative forces, those negative people, and people working through satanic channels. And if you don't want to use the notion, if it's too much hellfire and brimstone for you, then just understand that there are souls that walk in the light, and there are souls that are directed by something entirely different from what you and I would ever pursue. And it's those souls and their negative influence that inhibit us, and that ultimately attempt to defeat the mission of the light bearers. So don't in your pursuit of trying to understand the possibility that we're being influenced by exterior forces, understand that evil is on the planet and is meant to be eradicated from the planet, and that these fallen angels are not supposed to be among us. And unfortunately, most of us believe, and I've encountered other people who are pretty eager to say that these satanic forces are gone. For some people might be in an advanced round in which they're no longer having to contend with those entities, but a lot of us are still encountering them. And what I'm here to say is, we do have to balance karma, but some of that karma, that negative karma that needs to be overcome, is actually not our fault, and we're not actualizing that bad karma through moral decisions. We're having to compensate for the presence of evil. We're having to overcome evil. So when we feel defeated, in other words, it's not necessarily something that is internally derived. We also do have to understand that we have to balance karma, not only because we have erred in how we've managed our lives energetically, or we've made improper choices with respect to yoga and meditation. We're also having to do the work of compensating for the bad people among us, and that really needs to be brought more to the fore, in my view. But I wanted to give that a little bit of additional clarification. And there was a question before about Nada. Lady Master Nada is a Chohan of, she is the Chohan of the 6th Ray, and she's also on the Karmic Board. But I'm not sure what the question was, I suppose. But give you a little bit of information about the karmic board. Saint Germain, when Saint Germain brought the violet flame forth as a tool for humanity, it was in association with petitioning the karmic board, and saying that, and the other teachers and the other masters will talk about this as well. There's a point in time at which, 100% of your karma had to be balanced for people to make the ascension. And Saint Germain, in Ascended Master Theology, is the master who went forward and went to the karmic board. What the masters are telling me is the karmic board has sort of, it has the authority to change how things operate on the planet. So you and I on a daily basis, or say for the last 20 years, might think, well, that the mechanics of reality work in a certain way. But the project of humanity and the project of the light bearer still has to be fulfilled. And at a certain point, the hierarchy was requiring, for people to make their ascension, hierarchy was requiring that people balance 100% of their karma. Saint Germain is the master who went to the karmic board and said, this isn't working. Like, to expect that we're all going to reach that level of perfection in order to reach the ascension, which is an acceleration of consciousness, by the way. It's not a loss of the physical body. To expect us to balance karma in its entirety is not reasonable, and we're not quote-unquote graduating enough humans. And I think I'm quoting Lipo. I think that's his way of putting it. And so they changed it. The karmic board changed it to 51%. I'm going to go through right now because I want to give you a list of those masters on the karmic board. I know the Goddess of Liberty is on the karmic board. The Goddess of Liberty is represented by the Statue of Liberty. By the way, if I can get to tsl.org, it's not clear that I'll be able to do that. Sanat Kumara is on the karmic board. And I think that Nada now is the one master who still maintains Chohanship. You know, she's the 6th ray Chohan, which is the solar plexus, and is also on the karmic board, but she's the one who's on... She's a Chohan of a ray. She's the one instance in which there's a ray Chohan who is also on the board. Let's see if I can pull this off of TSL. It's tsl.org. TSL stands for the Summit Lighthouse. And some of the other sites have pretty good information on Ascended Master Theology as well. Let's see what I can do here. Yeah, all of a sudden my internet is getting ready to crash, it seems. Possibly because I have too many browser windows pulled up. Let's see if I can get to it. Well, I guess I can't right now. I might have to pause and come back. Let's see, what's this all about? Okay, so I will answer your questions, and I know there's more information about companion animals. What I'll have to do is I'll have to pull that teaching from one of the family designs for the Golden Age and post it when I can. I'll be right back.